How's it going, everybody? It's me, Arctic, and in today's video we're going to be going over team comps for Scaramouche, and I'm also going to be talking about some characters that I think are going to be extremely good with Scaramouche. So with Scaramouche being an Anemo DPS focused around his normal and charge attack damage, we are going to be looking for several characters that are actually going to be pair very nicely with him. As of update 3.3, Farazan is going to be added to the game, basically decreasing Anemo resistance, so she's basically going to be Scaramouche's best support. However, the ones we currently have in the game right now, we can actually have some pretty good options to go with. One of those extremely good options is going to be the character Yunjin. Now the reason behind this is because when you cast your ult, you're going to be getting a normal attack damage bonus based on Yunjin's current defense. And so this kind of works similar to how Shenhe's buff works, where it basically adds a whole another amount of damage bonus and like that kind of stuff to the actual scaling, I think. And then if you have constellations for Yunjin, the one to keep in note are Constellation 2. It basically gives you some extra normal attack damage percent. You get like 15% bonus damage to your normal attacks. And then also C6 is really nice because that gives you 12% attack speed when you're in her ult state. And pairing that up with Scaramouche, who is already going to be really benefiting from attack speed increases, I think it's going to be an extremely good partner for Scaramouche. Another good character is going to be Yelan, and this is similarly using her burst as well, because her burst basically gives you like a damage bonus the longer it's up. This one lasts like I think 15 seconds, so plenty of time to use during like a Scaramouche E skill and whatnot. But yeah, basically you're going to be able to get up to 50% extra damage bonus with this character, so she is very good. Zhongli is also a great character to pair with Scaramouche, basically giving you a shield for protection, as well as also decreasing enemy resistances, because yeah, you can basically decrease resistances with his shield up, so it is very strong, and this also works on like Anemo resistance. The nice part about Zhongli is that with his shield, you're not really going to need a healer too much, so you can pop him into your force slot, get that Anemo resistance decrease, as well as some good protection, and you're going to be set with a good character to pair with Scaramouche. And then last but not least, Jean, if you have her at Constellation 4, is going to give you 40% decrease in Anemo resistance, so if you have a Jean C4, I would definitely recommend using her with Scaramouche. And that's it when it comes to the main Scaramouche supports, I think. There are characters like Bennett that can work pretty nicely, or Xingqiu. Basically, just they don't focus in too much on actually boosting out Scaramouche's damage completely, so that's why I kind of kept them off of this list. Now we get into team comps, and this is where we are really going to be starting to see a bit more stuff to do with Scaramouche. So we are using Sucrose as our placeholder right here for Scaramouche. I have actually been running DPS Sucrose, and it works quite well already, so I'm excited to see how much a triple crowned Scaramouche will do when I get him. But yeah, and then for some of the characters that I don't have that I want to talk about with like team comps and whatnot, I will just use like placeholder characters as well. Starting off with my personal Scaramouche team comp, I am actually using two Anemo characters, even though it does decrease the amount of benefits I get from Yunjin's passives. I really don't have a maxed out Yunjin at the moment, so I might actually swap her out for someone else at some point. And that'll probably end up being like Yelan, just because Yelan is going to give me a little bit more sub DPS and more like benefit, I think, even with those decreases of like normal attack damage on Scaramouche specifically. But yeah, going back to this original team comp right here, Kazuha right here is just in place of where Farazan is going to be. So I'm basically going to replace Farazan into the slot. So I'm going to have a bit of like Anemo resistance shred and also Anemo resistance boosting. So basically I'm going to be getting like a lot of good damage on my Scaramouche, as well as having Yunjin right here to cast her burst. Whenever I want to attack like higher tier enemies, that kind of stuff, go for like a DPS phase, something like that. I have Bennett in here as well, because the reason I have Bennett in here is so I can actually trigger the Pyro Swirl kind of effect thing with Scaramouche's elemental skill, getting that extra amount of attack, which I think is going to be one of his better buffs. And it also factors into my build quite well, because my Scaramouche build is going to have a large amount of crit rate, just because my Anemo DPS set that I have currently already gives me a lot of crit rate and crit damage as well. And then I'm popping on a Solar Pearl on him as well, so I'm definitely going to have a lot of DPS potential from that. But yeah, the main strengths I think from this team comp are going to be for Scaramouche specifically, not necessarily getting as much team damage overall, but that's usually how I play the game anyway. I pretty much just run like 3 supports for my main DPS character. That's basically what I do with like my Ayaka team. My Ayaka team is literally all just Ayaka supports, like the best ones currently possibly in the game, so that's what I run. For a Scaramouche freeze comp, I would actually recommend running like a Hydro sub DPS character that basically focuses on normal attacks, that being Yelan or Xingqiu. They can work really well right here, Yelan being the obvious better choice than Xingqiu. Then I would also run like a burst support kind of cryo character right here, because you're not necessarily going to be wanting to go for cryo damage on enemies specifically. This is more so just to get enemies to stay frozen, which is going to work very nicely considering that Scaramouche is going to be constantly swirling like Hydro and cryo around, so it is going to be quite nice on there. The great part about this is because if you are running 2 cryo characters, you are going to be getting that extra elemental resistance from Shattering Ice, so that's 15% crit rate. Plus if Scaramouche is swirling the cryo, you are going to be getting some extra crit rate from his passive as well. And if he swirls the Hydro, you're going to be getting some extra Sky Dweller points so you can stay up in the air longer and basically get that damage bonus up longer. Where I can see this comp being mainly used in is going to be probably like Spiral Abyss, I would say. Basically, if you are running into a Spiral Abyss that is a lot of Anemo damage focused, I think this will work very well. Especially if you want to keep enemies like on point, solid, not being able to activate their abilities and stuff against you. I think this can work actually pretty well for that. This team comp is a burning team comp, and I think it'll actually be pretty interesting to run with Scaramouche. The reason behind this is because Nahida is going to be able to deal quite a bit of sub DPS as well as trigger all these burning reactions, and so it's going to be very, very nice, especially with characters like Shang Ling or other pyro characters. You can have another pyro sub DPS right here like Toma potentially. And yeah, like Bennett in here works very nice as well. Basically, your main core of your sub DPS is going to be burn reactions, with Scaramouche being the driver for this. Basically keeping enemies swirl a whole bunch and keeping pyro applied to enemies, reacting with Nahida's elemental stuff right there as well. I can see this team comp being used is going to be in large ad clear, so could potentially be good in the Spiral Abyss. So I also think this will be a pretty alright team comp to run just for general play or like against bosses, something like that, because the burn reaction with high elemental mastery is going to be something to be reckoned with, because you do get a lot of like damage over time. It can be quite good. So this team right here is going to be an Electrocharge team comp with Scaramouche. So basically your main goal right here is going for increased uptime in the air, because you're most likely going to be swirling Hydro, but you also have an Electro trigger right here, so if you do get an Electro Swirl or Electro Infusion thing with your Scaramouche, you are going to be able to trigger that energy recharge stuff as well. This is very good for like staggering enemies a little bit. I think it'll be pretty good on there. It does have some pretty good like sub DPS, single target type stuff. Barbara is a placeholder right here for like Kokomi, something like that would work better right here. Raiden Shogun, you could either use like Official, something like that if you don't have her. But Raiden Shogun also works very nicely for the downtime for Scaramouche, because his skill downtime is like 6 seconds, and you can basically just pop a Raiden Shogun and then like swap around characters, give yourself some energy, so I think it'll be a very good team comp to go with. I can see this one being used all around pretty much. I wouldn't necessarily say it's going to be as good in Abyss really, just because I think stuff like the Burn team comp are going to shine a bit more for like ad clear, but that's basically going to be it for my team comps guide for Scaramouche. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, remember to subscribe. I will also be wishing for Scaramouche when he does release, so make sure you guys check that out whenever I do stream that. But anyway, it's been me, Arctic. I will see you all in the next one. Farewell.